I finally did it. I've built the ultimate Firebase helper package for iOS developers. And the best part is that it works for macOS too. No, actually the best part is that it saved me hundreds of development hours writing Firebase boilerplate code. And now it will do the same for you. No. Actually, the best part is that it's totally free for you to use. And to prove to you all of these, I'm going to build a real-time app in record time. Just watch me do it right now. So let's just get started with this vanilla project and Firebase and what I have created, that is Firebase service, a library that you can use for free. This is what we are going to use to create a real-time application by the end of this video. So what I'm going to do first is just grab this HTTPS and just add my project dependency right over here. So click on plus. Let's just add that in there. Let's just wait for this to launch. Make sure that you are using up to next major version, basically 4.0.0 and up. I believe current version is 4.0.3. We are going to see that. Now, this is going to download all the necessary Firebase libraries also, like Firebase storage, Firebase authentication, Firestore, and also functions that the Firebase service library that I have created is using under the hood. And you will see this is such an amazing tool. We are going to build this project out in no time. After it had fetched all the necessary libraries, we can just go and add that package right over there. And yeah, it's just going to load all of the necessary Firebase libraries that we need right over here. Now, next up, we are going to create an actual app on Firebase. So let's just go right over here. Make sure that you log in. Now go to console. And then let's click on add project, enter your project name. What I usually do is just go onto my target, signing and capabilities, just grab my bundle identifier, go back right over here, just paste it in there, remove everything, with the dot and dot Rebeloper, and then just click on continue. I don't care about analytics at this point. Let's create our new project. And this will create an actual project on the Firebase dashboard. And what we're going to do next is just add an iOS app to this project so we can download the Google Service Info playlist file that we are going to add into our Xcode project. So there we go. We can just hit continue right over there. Let's just click on iOS. And then right over here on the bundle identifier, I'm just going to add that in there. All of the others are optional, and we're just going to register our application. And you can see our next step will be to download the Google Service Info playlist file. That is what we are going to do. Right over there. There we go. Let's just drag and drop that into our project. And I'm just going to drop it right after the assets, copy items if needed, make sure that it's checked, create groups, and also the target is checked. Finish. And as you can see, I download a lot of Google Service Info playlist files. What you want to do is just remove that appended number. It's really important that Xcode will, well, actually the Firebase SDK will find this file. Now let's click on next. We already done this, so we just installed the necessary Firebase iOS SDK. And then what we want to do is just have this app delegate set up, the Firebase app.configure. We're going to do that also later on. So click on next, continue to console. And next up, we want to set up the authentication part. We are going to sign in with email and password. It will be really, really fun. By the way, Firebase service also provides sign in with Apple, which I really like. So let's enable that. Again, it's just one button sign in with Apple. It's really, really nice. Currently, we are just going to use email and password. And then we are going to set up the Firestore database. So let's create our database right over there. Let's start in test mode. So yeah, with production mode, you allow read and write. So it's not allowing us read and write. We just go with test mode. It will just allow read and write till February the 5th. Of course, you may want to change these, but yeah, we just want to enable that server that we chose. By the way, you have to choose your server only once, and it was at this point. You cannot set or rather change to another server. There we go. We have Cloud Firestore and the authentication setup, and that is all we have to do in our console. Let's just go back to our Xcode project and let's start coding, because now we want to code out this real-time application. What we're going to do is just have a post application. So we will just be logging in, of course, logging out, logging in by authentication, and then we are going to add some new posts, and they will be just listed on a simple SwiftUI list. I just want to take a moment to invite you for a 16-minute video call to work with me on your project. If you need help in coding or just want to boost your SwiftUI knowledge, visit rebeloper.com/mentoring. I also get inquiries from students, so I can just take you from step 1 to step pro on SwiftUI. Now let's get back to our project of building a real-time application with Swift and Firebase. What we want to do first is just create our model. So let's just create a new file. That will be a Swift file. Let's click on next, and let's just have this named as post. There we go. What we want to do is just import SwiftUI right over here, and then let's just import also Firebase Firestore. Now we are going to use this to have the timestamp the timestamp model from Firebase Firestore, and then we are going to also import a Firebase service, the library that I have created. So let's create our struct right over here. It will be named post, and now here comes the interesting part. If you want this to work, seamlessly, you want to make this codable, and then Firestorable, and then equatable. Now, codable, you most probably know, and equatable. What is this Firestorable? Well, it's from Firebase service. It requires us to give a key value, so a property of UID. It's just a simple protocol. Let me just jump to definition. It has to be a UID string. Okay, so those are the requirements for our model. So let's create our var UID of type string. There we go. And then var, let's have a value of type string. That will be, the post's value. And then let's create a timestamp of type timestamp. This is why we imported Firebase Firestore. Now let's create an initializer here, and Xcode 14 is really nice. It's just going to give us this predefined initializer, but actually I'm creating these initializers so I can initialize this post with some default values. So in order to do that, I'm just going to make all of these optional and set its default values to nil. So optional equals nil, and then timestamp optional equals nil. And I'm going to give some default values right over here. So if that UID is nil, then just give it an empty string, and then again an empty string. And for the timestamp, we are going to use the timestamp with the date, and let's just give it our current date right over there. And that's it for our post. Now we want to talk about authentication, because we are going to first log in, sign up, all of that stuff. So for that, we need an auth view. So let's just create this, well, maybe right over here. Let's create a new file. Let it be a SwiftUI view, auth view. Okay, so we're going to have an auth view, and then we are going to have on the content view, we are going to have some content. So let's just start off with our auth view right over here. Let's just have some more space. First of all, we want to have some data storage. So we are going to have two text fields, well, actually a text field and a secure field that will hold some email and the password, and then a button that we will just click to authenticate. So let's create two state variables. Private state variable, email, and default value is equals, default value is an empty string, again a private state variable of password, and again the default value is an empty string. Now for our body, we are going to create a vstack. I want to push all of this down, so we are going to have a spacer right over here. And then we are going to add our text field. So text field with a text, title and text. Let me just move this with a tab. Let's just indent it, Control I. If you haven't watched my keyboard shortcuts for Xcode, go ahead and check out. It will be at the end of this video and also in the first comment on this video. So that's Control I to indent some lines. And then for the text field, we are going to have some email right over here. And for the text, we are going to bind our email state variable. And also we are going to have a secure field with the title and text. That's password. And then let's just bind this to the password. Okay, finally, we are going to have a button with a title of login. And then for the action, let's just create a function for our login. Let me just copy that out, scroll a little bit down, and let's have a function called login. So with the help of Firebase service, we are going to do this in one step. So you don't have to worry about, oh, is this user created, or are we creating a new one, or are we just logging in as an already existing user to the Firebase authentication? We just use the login. Okay, so how do we log in? Well, it's as usual. I really like asynchronous functions, async await. I'm created this with that in mind, and of course it might throw an error. So first of all, we are going to move this into a task. So in order to log in seamlessly, what we want to do is just import Firebase service. And there we go. And then we can just go try. Wait, of course you can add this into a do catch statement if you want to. We're going to use auth service dot, and there is a login. Of course you can sign in or sign up if you want to also log out, but logging in takes care of both cases. So we are going to log in with an email. I don't know why Xcode is not doing its thing right over here. So we're going to use our email, and for the password, let's just use our password, just like that. And that is it. We have our auth view created. I just want to take the time to express my genuine gratitude and appreciation for all of you. When the last time I asked you to comment, you did so, and it really jacked the numbers up for the algorithm. So I'm going to ask you again. And also, when I read how valuable and transformative the channel has been for you, I get the motivation to keep on posting new videos. So don't forget to like and comment below. Now let's get back to building our application. Next up is to create, we already have our content view. How do we switch between the auth view and the content view? We are going to go into our app file, so the real-time app right over here. First of all, I told you that there was a step where we needed to configure Firebase. So first of all, we want to import Firebase core for that. And I'm just going to use the initializer. You can create, if you wish to, your app delegate adapter. I'm just adding this in the init because maybe you want to use this also in a macOS application. Then you would just need to create an NS app delegate adapter. This is much more simpler. We just have an init right over here. So we just go Firebase app dot and configure. There we go. That's just it. Now, what we want to do is just somehow know if we are authenticated or not authenticated. Now, with Firebase service, it couldn't be simpler. So let's just import Firebase service. And then all you have to do is just create a private state object that will be named. Let me just have some more room here. That will be named auth state. And I'm just going to have this initialized as auth state. As you can see, optionally, you could just have should log out upon launch. Now, this is really fun to use as a developer because maybe you just delete some users from your authentication portal, and this will just log out the current user, each time you launch the app. Of course, we're not going to use this at this point. So, okay, we have our auth state. This will take care of setting up that listener on the authentication with Firebase auth. So now all we have to do is just create a group, first of all. We have to create this group, and we are going to switch through all of our auth states values. So auth state value, we're going to have a case of undefined, and for that we are going to have a progress view. Now undefined is where you just launch the app, but you are still waiting for the servers from Firebase Auth to confirm are we authenticated or not. And for that we are just going to display a progress view right over here, and then we are going to have a case of not authenticated. For that we are going to present our auth view, and for our case of authenticated, when we are indeed authenticated, we are just going to present the content view, but I need some toolbar items, so we are going to add this into a navigation stack of content view. Okay, so enough coding. We are going to take it from here, but for now, let us just build and run this application, because now the authentication part is set up. Wouldn't you know it? Everything is done on the authentication with the help of auth state. It's really, really amazing, right? What we should see right over here is that we have our progress view spinning up and then our auth view. Let me just see what's going on the simulator. It's just still loading. Yeah, it's going to take a while till this builds. And there we go, we have our email and password, but I don't really like the actual UI for this, so I'm going to go back to our auth view right over here, and let's add a text field style of a rounded border. There we go. And yeah, let's just build and run. And yeah, by the way, maybe let's just add also dot padding. And now we are just going to log in. That will be our very first time, of course. Let's just have this as dev@gmail.com. Add in your password, and then just click on login. Now this will log in, as you can see we have our hello world. Let's just build and run again. We should see now only the hello world. That is our content view. By the way, let's just check out how our authentication looks like. So we have our dev@gmail.com. Here is our UID. It's really, really nice. Okay, so next up, what we want to do is actually build out our content view. Let's just stop this. And on the content view, first of all, I want to log out, because yeah, basically what we want to be able to do is just log out. So right over here, well, actually we are going to have a list. So let's just remove this VStack and let's have a list. Let's just have some more space right over here. I'm going to remove all of this gibberish, and on the list we are going to have a toolbar with some content, and let's have a toolbar item with a placement. And for the placement, I'm going to have with the cancellation action that is on the leading part of our navigation bar, and we're going to have a button with a title of maybe a log out. There we go. And for the action, a log out function that I'm going to create in just a second. So function log out. There we go. And now all I have to do is just use auth service. So again, we are going to import Firebase service, and then let's just create a task, because as usual, this is asynchronous on my part. So we just go try await auth service. There we go, dot, and then just log out. It's as easy as that. So let's just see that in action. Yeah, as you can see, it's really, really super fast. Build has succeeded. This is great. I just going to click on logout, and we are logged out. Let's see if I just go dev@gmail.com and enter my password. If I can just log in again. And indeed, I can. This is really, really great. You can see it's fun to have only a one button authentication. Okay, and by the way, you can just have a sign in with Apple there. Now, next up, what I want to do is add a new post. So for that, I'm going to add another toolbar item. I'm just going to copy this out. Why not? Let's have a toolbar item, and let me just add it below there. Now the placement will be the primary action, so that will be on the trailing part. And then we are going to have, well, let's just create another button because I want to use the one with an action and the label. For the action, yeah, we're going to create a function as usual, but for the label, we are going to have a system image name called plus, and then add post. There we go. And we are going to have another function right over here of add post. And yeah, let's just create our, dummy post. Let post equals our post, and yeah, we are going to use the value, and everything else could be the same. So let's just have a post and then value. And for the value, I'm going to have a post and number, and let's have a random int number right over here. So int dot random in, and the range would be 0 till 1000. Why not? Okay, and now it's time to save, like create this post. But for that, we are going to talk a little bit about property wrappers, because yes, this will be the way we are building apps from now on. It's not MVVM. It's not something about view models or anything like that. It's only views and models. And you saw the model, and that's our post. And then we have our view. We are right over here. Now, if you take a look at how SwiftUI implements core data natively, you will see that it has some property wrappers. And that is what I did exactly with Firebase service. I created some really handy property wrappers that we can use. And there are two of them, Firestore Fetch and Firestore Paginated Fetch, that will, of course, fetch some data from Firestore. And by the way, it's really amazing. Let me just type this out. So we are going to have an at Firestore fetch. There we go. As you can see, we have also our paginated fetch. So we have Firestore fetch. Now you just go open parentheses, and then you see we have these options. And I'm just going to select all of them because we are going to use some. So yeah, you just know what those are, and then we are just going to use some of them. Now the collection path is posts. So that is the name of the collection that we are storing posts into. Now, for the sort type, we want to have, we just go dot init. We want to have ordered by and the type and easy descending. So ordered by, well, we want to order this by timestamp. There we go. Because I do know that I do have a key value pair there with a timestamp. And what type is the timestamp? Well, that is of type timestamp. But before we do that, we want to import Firebase Firestore, so we have access to timestamp.self. And then descending, let's set this to true. Okay, you may add other predicates if you want to, or you can just choose the decoding failure strategy. Yeah, I'm just going to ignore these for now. And then we just go var posts, and that is of type an array of posts. And that's it. It's really similar as SwiftUI handles core data. Now we can just use this post to display them inside a list. So let's just add this like posts, and then this is not identifiable, so I'm just going to give it an ID right over here. You could just go with an identifiable if you choose to. I just wanted to make sure that we just go with the bare necessities. So post in, so we have our post. Let's just have here a vertical stack, and this vertical stack we are going to align there we go, dot leading. I'm going to have the post value and then the timestamp presented. So let's have a text of post dot value, and then let's have another one, so text, And right over here, we're just going to go post timestamp dot date value, oh, not description, but date value. And we are going to format it like formatted date and time. Well, actually formatted, let me just move that. There's an easier one. So formatted with a format dot and date time. Okay, let's just make this a little bit smaller. So we're going to have a font of caption, and let's have also a foreground color of gray. Whew. Okay, so now that we have all of our list, all of our posts fetched into a post, now it's time to create a post. So let's just scroll down, and right over here, now we have our property wrapper post. What we want to do is just use that, which is really amazing. So we just go try again. You could just use the do catch statement in production, and then underscore posts dot manager dot create that post, and it's as easy as that. Could it be simpler? Let's just see how this looks like. By the way, we have also on the manager update and delete, which is really great. So let's just click on the plus button, and as you can see, it automatically added this to our list. Let's just stop this so we can see that we save this. Let's build and run again, and there we go. We have our post added right there. By the way, we can just take a look at our Firestore database. There we have our posts and our first post. Let's create another one. Why not? Let's just go to the simulator. Let's click on the plus sign. It's just added with the same random number. Let's create a new one. There we go. It's just adding those new posts as usual. And that's it. Now you have a real-time application with Firestore and SwiftUI. Now, if you did like the shortcuts that I used during this tutorial, you want to make sure that you check out my 30 must-know Xcode shortcuts. The video is right over here.